it seemed like you were in a familiar sort of storyline halfway through the third, and they got back in front after a half-time lead, and you responded really strongly. What did you like about the response?
I think probably that. It could have been very easily for us to fall back into ourselves. It did feel a little bit different, though, to be fair, early in the first half. We had a bit more balance in our game. We weren't necessarily relying on one particular phase to get ourselves in the position. We had some really great defensive actions, some really sound contest moments, but then also some really good composure with the ball in hand. So I felt like that was a lot more even, which always gives you confidence, the guys in a headspace to be able to take care of anything or any challenge that comes their way when they're engaged like that. So they certainly did ask the question, and we could have given up a little bit there, but we didn't. And I thought there was a great moment in the third quarter where we went end to end, and Ashton Moore finishes with a goal after absorbing 4 or 5 turnovers and re-entries, and we're able to sort of absorb for probably 4 or 5 minutes and then go down the other end and hit the scoreboard. So that was a pretty important moment.
Do you think tonight was a good example of result from the hardships you've had? Flynn Young kicks his first goal, Carroll kicks his first, Ashton kicks 4. You've had to put games into those guys. Now you're getting some reward.
Yeah, the lag effect. Certainly, it was. Yeah, look, the story out for me is our younger guys being able to really play, almost like a trademark game. All of them were able to sort of put their skills on show, which was fantastic to see. And they've had their own points of disappointment over the last little period of time, but they've been sort of working on their game in the background. And as you said, O'Farrell stands tall, deep. Carroll was absolutely outstanding. He was tough, went back with the flight of the ball, composed with the ball in hand. So that was great to see. Cowan, same. Flynn Young, Ashton Moore, to be able to take moments for a young man and be able to want the ball in those moments, it was particularly impressive. So that for me today was the absolute story.
Does that add an extra layer of relief? Obviously you wanted the win because you've been searching for that, but to see it come off the back of not Patrick Cripps but those guys, that you feel a little bit more relief?
It's not about relief. It's more you're proud of the work that they've been doing. You're proud of their own approach to how they've been doing it, but also the support that's around them. The coaching and the support, and for them to be able to sort of have the space to continue to develop in a really hostile environment, and you're not winning games of football. For them to be able to stay in that positive space has been really important to us. It's energised us. So for some of the older guys who are probably looking at the season and going, geez, we haven't got what we want out of the year, there's another batch of players that I've got that are just that excited to be able to be playing and getting the opportunity to be able to grow and to be able to get better, and we can't rob them of that experience. So what I've loved over the last period of time is our leaders have been there for them. Even when it hasn't been working for them, they've been there for them, and they've celebrated their growth, and so we're going to continue to do that.
Was that more of the Carlton brand of footy you wanted to see tonight? Was that the other part that made you a bit happy? You dominated the front half, 31 points, I think, from front half intercepts. Did it look more like what you want to see out of your team?
Absolutely, it did. More phases of the game together, and the added one was the push came, and we're able to hold and be able to answer it as well. And then, right through the game, there was probably, there was a heap of moments throughout the game that you could look back on and sort of say, what a great moment there, what a great contest there, what a great turnover in our front half. Mark when we needed it, Charlie kicks a goal late, what a big moment. As I said, Ashton kicks a goal late, Weeders goes back with the fly of the ball. Like, there's all these sort of little moments that maybe we have been building towards for a little while, and the players seem to be energised off the back of it.
What did you make of the collision between May and Evans?
Yeah, it'll be a tough one clearly it's going to get looked at. Both players were in line with the ball, seemed to be attacking it, to be fair, if I'm being brutally honest, and both sort of making a play at the ball. Maybe one person was one step late, which obviously then the incident happens. But for Frankie to be able to hold his line with a pretty strong man coming the other way, it was was a pretty important moment in the game. Now, he didn't get to take his kick. Ashton obviously was able to finish the play, but it was a pretty important moment. I don't tend to read too much into it at this point in time. Let the tribunal take care of it, really. I mean, it's up to them to be able to adjudicate what they think is fair. We feel like we've sort of been on one end of it this week with Ben Camporelli. So I'll be interested to sort of see how they look at that.
How's he going? Injury-wise, he's obviously concussed.
I spoke to him on the way out. He actually seems quite okay. I mean, he's disappointed because he was playing a fantastic game of footy. He was doing an unbelievable role for us, and we obviously lost a pretty important player. So, but speaking to him just as he walked out there, other than being a little bit banged up on the nose, he was actually pretty good.
Do you suspect a break there or anything like
I don't know. I don't think so. No, I don't think so. But I actually couldn't tell you. It didn't look great in terms of how he looks, but we'll wait and see. We'll get it scanned, and if they need to, and they'll look after it.
You mentioned the Kerno goal late. How important was it for him to not just get that first goal, but have a consistent game after a lean couple of weeks?
His game's been pretty consistent for a little while. He just hasn't hit the scoreboard, and I've sort of been encouraged by what he's been trying to do over the last month in particular. And he hasn't been getting his own way, and I'm sure it's been really frustrating for the fact that he hasn't been able to hit the scoreboard as he'd like. But he's kept turning up, and it wasn't just Charlie. I mean, Weeders was fantastic, and I think Cripper over this little period of time, through a tough period of time, has been leading really well. So for Charlie to get the rewards and to be able to finish the way he did. I don't know, when you're sort of just looking at him, he looked like he wanted to take that moment, which was pleasing to see he did, and obviously was able to close out the game for us.
You mentioned Weeders there. Weeders spent a large chunk of the game on Jake Melksham.
Yeah.
How important is it to have a tall that is mobile enough to go with someone, I guess, half a foot shorter than him? Yeah,
he's a big man, Weeders, so to get past him is a bit of a challenge. But I think you want to be able to build a defence that can play tall, small, take their turns when they need to. That seems to be what modern defences are all about. Play a little bit more with where your relevance is to the ball and where your strengths lie. And, we feel like Weeders' strengths are there. But at the same time, we'd like him further up the ground doing what he does best, which is obviously generating and interrupting opposition's passages of play. So, but we're building that back 6-7. I think we've sort of had to be able to sort of see, Ollie Hollands, Lockie Cowan, Matty Carroll, Harry Farrell, they're all young men that are sort of forging their way, very young in their in how many games they've played, and they're sort of forging a cohesion and relationship there. It's not going to be perfect. They're going to have some bad moments, but they're working way through it, which is pleasing to see.
You kicked the ball a lot tonight. I think 68% of your disposals were kicks, but that's relatively high for the league. Was that a choice, given it was a bit wet tonight, just to gain territory?
Sometimes you just play what you get given to you, so that's what was given to us, so that's what we took. Like I said, I thought we were far more composed with the ball in hand tonight, so we tended to pick our speed a bit better than what we have in the past, rather than being all fast or all slow. We were able to find better moments where we went from inside to out, and we played against two really good teams the last 2 weeks, so it's challenges on a lot of fronts. But I saw a lot of progress in our game tonight. And namely, just the focus we had on defending well as a team, and it got us in better positions in the ground, and now it's all up to opportunity. Can you convert it or not? And we did a better job of that tonight.
You started with a spare most of the early game, and when you were coming back, I think it was even numbers down back. Was that part of defending better?
No, not necessarily. I mean, it's all about the system and how your system operates around it, how high an opposition's defence gets. So obviously they got really high early because they were defending their half and running at us a bit, so that our backs have to be able to manage the depth of that and the spacing. I don't think we quite got that right early, but sort of once we sort of started to get a bit of a read on the game, I thought we did that better.
Tom De Koning came up with that shoulder early, but returned to the field with strapping. Is he all good, or is that something?
He described it as a stinger to me, so I can only assume that's what it was. So whatever that means. Yeah.
As a coach, does Cozzy give you a few headaches?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's a pretty good player. Yeah, he's pretty good, especially when he's in that forward. He's got some tricks. So, if there's a growth out of the game, we probably didn't manage that as well as what we wanted to. So we'll go back and have a look at that. But once we corrected it, I felt like that's when we sort of started to get the game. Any time that somewhat he was under control, we were able to sort of get the game going our way. But he was a pretty important player in the state of the game.
Were you a little happy that he headed to the midfield for most of the fourth quarter, or?
Oh yeah, well yeah, he was obviously doing some damage everywhere. So whether he started on ball and then went forward. No, we didn't handle that as well as what we should have, and so we went to work on that, and the boys were able to correct that a bit. Yeah. And just a quick one from me, just if I could finish off, because obviously tonight's a very important night for us as a football club. We have our Carlton Respects game. We've been doing it for close to a decade now. I sat here last year and thanked the media for being able to provide a platform for us and the exposure to be able to raise money, more importantly, but also raise awareness and, to be able to get our education, our Road to Respects program right throughout schools. And, it's a really important program to us. We had some, unbelievable stories that were shared over the last few days. We had the Unwin family coming in and sharing their story and the harrowing story that they had of losing their sister, their daughter, and to be able to sort of create some awareness on that and sort of challenge the behaviour of men and how we treat women is extremely important to us and the violence towards it. So the activation tonight, just really proud of our football club. We want to win football games, but we also want to make our community proud. And our football club was on show tonight, and I thought they did an amazing job. But also to all of you to be able to provide that exposure show so we can get that message out there. We really appreciate it. So thank you once again. Cheers.
Thanks, Mike.